crafters! I'm really excited to be here today to share a super fun and interesting art project with you. Today, we are going to be creating Koinobori streamer kites. Now, Koinobori streamer kites are not the type of kites that we fly up in the sky. They actually hang and the streamers billow in the wind, which is called a windsock kite. Now, Koinobori kites originated in Japan, and the word Koinobori starts with the letters K-O-I, which spells koi. Now, koi fish are revered in Japan, which means they are thought of to be very special, magical, and even to bring good luck. Now, we might know the koi fish by another name, which is a carp. You might have heard that name before. So I want you to activate your creative mind, warm up your fingers, and grab a grown-up if you think you might need some help. My name is Tara, and I work for the Ottawa Public Library. Welcome to Crafternoons. Now, before we begin, it's a good idea to round up all of the materials that you're going to need to create your koi windsock streamer kite. So stay tuned for a list of items. You are going to need a sheet of colored construction paper, and I'm going to recommend that you use a nice light color because we'll be coloring it in with some markers, and the colors of the markers will be much more vibrant if you use a lighter sheet of construction paper. You'll also need a ruler or something that you can make a straight line with, a pencil, an eraser, a pair of scissors, some clear tape, a hole punch. Now, if you don't have a hole punch at home, not to worry. You can always use the clear tape for that step of the project, and that should work fine as well. A glue stick, an assortment of colored markers. If you don't happen to have any markers at home, not to worry. You can use wax crayons or pencil crayons, and they will work fine for this project as well. For the final step of your project, you'll also need some party streamers. And if you don't happen to have any of those on hand at your place, maybe you have some gift ribbon. Or if you don't happen to have any ribbon, you can always use a plastic bag and cut the plastic bag into strips, and those will work nicely for the streamers of your kite. Now that you've rounded up all of the materials you're going to need to create the project, we're going to get started. Get out your sheet of colored construction paper, your pencil, and a ruler or something with a straight edge. Now, on the edge of your sheet of paper, along the short side of the page, we're going to place our ruler to create a line that's approximately the width of your pinky finger. You're now going to flip the piece of paper over, and you're going to fold it in half along the long side of the page. Over on this left side here where we have our line, we're going to start by creating the mouth of your koi fish. Now, a koi fish has a very large mouth, and so we're going to start the mouth a little higher than halfway up the page, right about here. We're going to curve it upwards to create the head and the forehead, and then we're going to go up again to create a fin. So this is the top fin of the fish. Okay. Now we're going to make it a little narrower here because we're getting close to where the tail is going to start fanning out, and then we can bring it out to the edges again. Now, your fish doesn't have to be exactly like this, but you are going to want to have the big mouth an area for the head and where you would draw the eyeball, the fin, the top fin, and the tail over here. So you can decide how you want to make your tail. Great. Now you'll notice that we haven't done anything to the bottom where the fold is. So you always want the fold to be facing you or to be on the bottom when you're working on your fish. Now I'm just going to bring this up a little bit so that we can create an indentation where the fish tail would be at the narrowest here. Great. Now we're going to start to color the fish. If you want to, before you do that, you can create some features on your fish. So remember that this is the mouth and this is the forehead and the fin. So I think what I'll do is I'll just add a few details in pencil. Now you don't have to add too many details in pencil because you can always use the markers afterwards to create lots of detail. And a koi fish normally has quite a big eye, so you can make it quite large. And you can fill it in with a smaller pupil if you'd like to. Great. Now I'm going to add a few more details to the tail of the fish. And after this, we're going to get to the really fun part where we get to add some scales. So I think I'm going to start the scales right about here, just behind where the fish eye is. Perfect. Now if you want to, you can add a side fin in here. So why don't I go ahead and show you how you might be able to do that. But you don't have to make a side fin if you think that that might be too difficult for you. Okay, so I'll add a few more lines. Great. And now I'm going to add some nice scales. You don't have to do yours exactly like this. I'm just going to show you one way of doing it. But you might have a completely other idea, and that's fine too. There we go. And you can bring them all the way down to where the tail starts. Wonderful. If you want to add some other details over here with your pencil, you can. Or you can wait and do all of that with the markers. The choice is up to you. Well, I know you're probably getting pretty excited to start coloring your fish, but we have a few more steps to do before our markers come into play. So I want you to grab your scissors and we're going to cut around the outline of the fish. Take your time to do it nice and carefully, and be sure not to cut the bottom down here. Only this little section by the tail. So why don't we start there? You can take your time to do this so that you get a nice, tidy cut. Here we go around the tail. There we go. And now we're going to do the top of the fish, starting with this tail here. Heading on over to the top fin. If you're finding any of this tricky, you can always ask a grown-up for some help. And we're going to come all the way down to the mouth at the bottom here. Okay. So we've cut our fish out. Now you're going to flip him over to the other side, and you're going to add all of your pencil marks on the other side as well. Now, as I mentioned, you don't need to do this pencil part, but I highly recommend it because it helps you plan where you're going to put your markers afterwards. And if you make a mistake with pencil, you can always use your eraser, erase what you've done, and try again. I'm going to be back in just 2 seconds to show you what it looks like once we've colored our fish in. Now that we've colored our fish and cut him out nicely, we're going to open the fish up so that we see the blank side again. Taking your ruler and your pencil, draw a line from the middle of the tail to the middle of the mouth. Do the same on the opposite side. Excellent. You can put your ruler away. And now we're going to fold along the lines we've just drawn. One. And now the other side. Two. Be sure to press nicely down with your fingers to create a nice clean fold line. Great. Now you can open your fish back up, and we're also going to fold where the top fin meets the body. We're going to do this for both sides. One. And two. Okay. Now you're going to take your glue stick and you're going to put some glue on the top fin, on the inside here, where the top fin is. You can put glue on both sides if you like, if you think that might make it stick better. And a little bit at the top of the tail, like that. Excellent. Now we're going to fold up our kite again, just joining up the two top fins, and hold those two fins together nicely, pressing with a little bit of pressure so that the glue can really grab onto itself. And also where we put the glue at the tail. Okay, so we're starting to get a three-dimensional looking fish. But we now need a piece of clear tape to close up this mouth because his head is open a little bit here. So we just want a little piece of tape that we're going to put over the mouth. Okay, so take your clear tape and just stick it to one side. Fold it over, nicely joining the sheets of paper on either side. And then we have a nice open-mouthed carp fish. Okay, we're almost ready to add the streamers. But if you do have a hole punch, you're going to want to put a hole punch on either side of the mouth. And eventually we'll put a little piece of ribbon through here so that that's how the kite is going to hang. Okay, it's going to hang by the mouth. And then we're going to attach some streamers to the tail. So if you have your streamers handy, they can be of various lengths. I don't suggest cutting them too long because they can get tangled up pretty easily. But you might want to choose a few different colors. I happen to have a little bit of pink here and a blue one that I just cut. And I like color, so I'm going to add a third one with some red. Okay, so 3 or 4 streamers is more than enough. And you're going to take your tape again and cut a nice little piece of tape off. Take one of your streamers. And if you can put it on the inside, that would be ideal. So you might want to put your tape on to the streamer first, leaving a little piece exposed so that you can press it into the inside of the tail here. Okay, there we go. I'm going to take another streamer and do the same thing with this blue one. Getting a nice little piece of tape. It doesn't have to be too long. As long as when you affix the tape to the streamer, you leave a little bit at the top so that it can grab onto the inside of the paper of the tail of the fish. Okay, there we go. This can sometimes be a little bit tricky, so you might need to ask a grown-up to help you with that part. And we have our third streamer, which I'm going to attach. Again, leaving a little bit of exposed tape at the top so that it can grab on to the inside of the fishtail. Okay, now our fish has some really nice streamers. We are almost done, folks, so we're going to take a little piece of ribbon if you have some. A piece of string will work just fine as well. And we're going to lace our ribbon through the holes that we just created with the hole punch. Now, if you don't have a hole punch, as I said earlier, you can just tape a little piece of ribbon to the top of the mouth on either side. And that will work just fine as your little ribbon to hang your koi streamer kite. Now, a koi streamer kite isn't a kite that we fly in the sky. What we normally do is hang them so that their mouth is at the top, and they hang them and the streamers can blow in the wind. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. Well, I hope you had fun today learning how to make Koinobori fish kites with me. I'll be back again next week for another Crafternoon artistic adventure. In the meantime, you might want to click like on this video, and I invite you to join our Ottawa Public Library YouTube channel. You may also wish to visit our OPL website at biblioottawalibrary.ca, where you'll find a link to our online virtual summer camp. It's called Summerland, and there are a whole bunch of interesting activities and programs for you to take part in. I hope you had fun today, and I look forward to seeing you again next week for another Crafternoon. Bye now!